Good evening, everybody. My name is Stan. Today we're going to talk about how in 1919, a year that was deemed the Red Summer, how Black American soldiers fought back a white mob. Good evening. My name is Stan, and this is Real Talk. Today we're going to talk about how Black American soldiers fought back a white mob in the year 1919, which was deemed the Red Summer. Okay, the ink had barely dried on the Treaty of Versailles, which formally ended the World War I when recently returned Black veterans grabbed their guns and stationed themselves on rooftops in Black neighborhoods in Washington, D.C., prepared to act as snipers in case of mob violence in July of 1919. Others set blockades around Howard University, a Black intellectual hub, creating a protective ring around Black residents. You know, I guess they brought those skills back from the war, and that's one of the things that the white people didn't want. They didn't want them to come back with different mindsets. White soldiers recently home from the war had been on a day-long drunken rampage, assaulting and in some cases lynching Black people on the Capitol streets. The relentless onslaught proved contagious, escalating in dozens of cities across the United States, across the U.S., in what would be known as the Red Summer. Red meaning all the blood that they shed. The racist attacks in 1919 were widespread and often discriminated, but in many places they were initiated by white servicemen and centered upon the 380,000 Black veterans who had just returned from the war. Because of their military service, Black veterans were seen as particular threats to Jim Crow and racial subordination. Notes a report by the Equal Justice Initiative. Like I said, they came back with a whole new mindset. You know, I guess they figure if we're here across the water overseas fighting for democracy and the rights for others, why can't we have the same rights at home? It's only fair. You know, we are citizens of this country. We should have everything and anything that other citizens have. Indeed, many African American soldiers returned from the war armed with a renewed determination to fight segregation and a near constant barrage of brutality. A postal official wrote at the time that as far back as the first movement of the American troops to France, the Negro publicists began to avail themselves of the argument that since the Negro was fit to wear the uniform, he was therefore fit for everything else. In Texas, a federal agent reports, one of the principal elements causing concern is a returned Negro soldier who is not readily fitting to go back into the prior status of World War I. You know, I guess they refused to go back into the pre-war state that they left in. Being lynched and being discriminated against and all manner of degradation. At the same time, cities across the North were being reshaped by the Great Migration. By the end of 1919, about 1 million African Americans had fled segregation, and a total a total lack of economic opportunities in the South for northern cities. Between 1910 and 1920, the black population in Chicago grew by 148%, and in Philadelphia by 500%. So the South is really what it is. This the South, it's the biggest and most cruel part of this country, or at least it was then, back in those days, creating a massive anxiety among white people in northern cities that black people were taking jobs, housing, and security from them. During the Red Summer, massive anxiety became mass violence. Between April and November of 1919, there would be approximately 25 riots and an instance of mob violence, 97% lynchings, and a 3-day-long massacre in Elaine, Arkansas, during which over 200 black men, women, and children were killed. 200 black men, women, and children were killed. Children were killed. See, these are people with no conscience, no sense of morality. They have no conscience at all. Uh, After black sharecroppers tried to organize for better working conditions, the Ku Klux Klan, which had been largely shut down by the government after the Civil War, experienced a resurgence in popularity and began carrying out dozens of lynchings across the South. The Ku Klux Klan. Remember, this is 1919, and they are still strong today. And what my biggest fear is, we are killing each other almost as fast as they are killing us. We have to come together as a people. We have to come together as a people and knock back this threat against us. Just a few years earlier, many young black men had heeded Wilson's call to make the world safe for democracy, and gone off to fight for America in one of history's bloodiest wars. Now, they had come back to a country that recognized neither their service nor their humanity. Having just returned from battle, however, black veterans were not inclined to take the abuse lying down. Across the country, former soldiers used their government-provided weapons, training and to defend their neighborhoods against vicious white mobs. Like I said before, they came back with a new mindset, not to go back to that oppressive nature that they had endured. Black people formed an Hawk self-defense organization to try to keep white folks from terrorizing their communities, says Simon Balto, a professor of African American history at the University of Iowa and author of Occupied Territory, Policing Black Chicago from Red Summer to Black Power. Black veterans were a large part of what made the summer of 1919 the words of historian David F. Frugler, the year of African American fought back. Right, we fighting back, and we're not taking it anymore. Even today, we are fighting back. The year of Red Summer, 1919. A little bit of history for you. Black soldiers were fighting overseas and at home for the rights that they were fighting for people overseas. You get that? Rights that they couldn't have here, they had to fight for, fight and die for. My name is Stan. If you like what you heard, subscribe, like, and share this channel. This has been Real Talk. Have a good night, everybody.